pa niyo pipinay.
Welcome back to the Plays with Cars YouTube channel and another episode of Project Audi, which has once again assumed the position of needing service. So much so that Project Porsche has become a workbench. So our last video was doing maintenance before the mods. So you guys are going, yay, we're doing some mods, right? You're taking the blower off, you must be porting it or something. Nah, water pump went out on this thing. It didn't go out bad, but it started leaking, weeping from the weep hole, so we knew it was bad and time to do it. And part of doing the water pump on this, you got to take the supercharger off to get to everything and get all this stuff off, is we are also going to do the air oil separator / PCV valve because it lives underneath the blower. And if we're going to go through all of this, you might as well do it. And also while we have that off, we have access to the intake ports, and we'll be able to use this contraption here filled with walnut shells to blast the intake ports and get all the carbon off, which builds up on these direct injected engines. So we have a whole raft of parts and maintenance to do to this thing right now. So we've got it up in the air. She's going to be down for the count for a couple of days, and we're going to do all the things to her. Are we ready to take the blower off?
You took off the 6 bolts. Ooh,
yeah.
Wiggles. Is it heavy? It's got the...
Try to come up off the studs and then forward a little so we could set it down on the studs but not in the holes. You know what I mean? Oh, there we go, like that. And we can see if we got anything else that's connected or not. Don't appear to.
You got that by yourself?
Maybe.
Got it okay?
Yep. Alright, well, y'all saw that excitement. We got the supercharger off. So this is the 3-liter V6 here, all aluminum in the S4. This contraption down in here is the PCV valve / air oil separator that we're going to have to take out and change. These little guys here are the flapper valves for the intakes. So these things actually open and close with actuators, and we've got to get all that out if we're going to get to the intake ports in order to clean the ports. But we are starting to get down to the water pump, which is right in here on the nose of the motor, but we still got to get out the thermostat housing, which we're doing the thermostat too since you're taking all this apart, so there's still quite a bit of disassembly. Alright, so clearly it's another day. I got the front bumper off the car, it's hanging out up there, and I've got the nose of the car into service position here, taking out all the bolts so that I can move the whole radiator and core support structure forward enough to get your hands in here to get the pulley off the water pump. So pulley is off the water pump, and now I'm ready to take the water pump itself off. We made some executive decisions about just how far we're tearing into this thing. We realized that you don't have to do all of this to do the intake port cleanings. You just have to take the supercharger off. So in the executive decision of trying to get this thing back together and running with the water pump and the AOS and all that fixed, we're going to save the valve cleaning for another time. So we'll do a whole nother video on just cleaning the valves at some other point, but for right now they're good enough, they're clean enough. We're just going to skip that. We've got the contraption all built and whatnot. We can use it when the other time comes, but for now we're going to skip that. We're just going to concentrate on the water pump and the PCV / air oil separator while we got the blower off, and then put all this back together. In fact, I might not even do that, to be honest with you. I might just slap this water pump off and on and go from there, because really this is the only thing that was wrong. It's the only reason we're tearing into it, and so I don't want to overcook myself trying to do too many things in here at once. So but we're to here. I got the front core support apart. Everything has been nice and drained for a while, so I'm going to spring these out and get this water pump off, and you can see the little 4 rings on there. That is the original water pump to the car, so 110, almost 111,000 miles on this one, on our B8 S4, which is pretty good because they're supposed to be notorious for going bad. So not too bad, really. Knock on car. Alright, well, many successes. You can see I've got the water pump out there. I actually already took out the thermostat and put in the new one, and I'm working on putting the water pipe back in. Replaced this lower radiator hose here. Our old one was kind of, seemed like it might have been leaking up here, and also the petcock valve didn't work anymore, so went ahead and replaced that while we were in here. So sit rep being not going to do the PCV/AOS. Simply put, we have had zero issues with it in this car, knock on wood. And also, we're going to have to take the blower off again to do the intake valve cleaning job anyway. So I'm going to save the top end of this for another day. I'm concentrating on the front of the motor. I'm going to do all this stuff from here forward. So I've got a new serpentine belt, got the new thermostat, got the new water pump, got the new radiator hose, got a couple other random hoses and fittings and things to put on here. One thing I did notice is we've had this random fuel smell in the car for a little bit that we're not real sure what it is, and it comes from up front. There's no visible fuel spray at all. There's no gas mileage issues. There's just an odor. And these lines right here, you're supposed to crack them. And then once it bleeds down, you're supposed to take them off to take these things off the little flapper valves and fuel rails. I put wrenches on them, and this one was loose. Not like loose, but I easily got an 1/8 to 1/4 turn on that thing. So I'm wondering if maybe like we were getting some air vent from that. Coming out into the engine bay here. So I double checked everything else. There's our high pressure fuel pump there, and no issues with that thing, and checked all of these lines up here that go to the emission systems and whatnot that have fuel vapors in them, just to make sure everything is okay and hunky-dory, and didn't see any issues. So and just make sure that there's no loose fittings or something like that going on. But anyways, on the water pump side, I got the new thermostat in, working on getting the crossover tube back in together, put a new O-ring on that side there. Got to tighten up the 2 bolts there, put this crazy tiny little one back in. But yeah, going well. Wasn't necessarily bad, but we were going this far into it, and generally when a water pump goes out, thermostats aren't too far behind on any car. They're kind of something that you always want to change together, and they really weren't all that much money. So here's the old one. You can see it's already a metal impeller. I do believe it was leaking. You can see in there, there's our weep hole, and it is wet in there. And this side of the water pump is dry. All this down here is from me just now. But you could see like evidence of kind of corrosion going on there. Like it might have been leaking for a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that. I don't know if that's the original one or not. It has an Audi part number and ring on it. So if it is a replacement, it's a factory replacement at least. But you can see they are very, 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 very similar, if not identical. The shaft is smaller on the graph than on the original. That means the bearing itself is going to be larger. That's very interesting. Huh. Well, anyways, I'm going to plop that on there and keep working away at this. Oh, still got to change the oil in the supercharger and put in our new plug from ECS Tuning. But yeah, it's starting to get dark out there. It's getting late. I'm about wrapping up for today. But yeah, this is kind of like day 2 of this particular project. Granted, these are not full days. This is after school and work and all that stuff. So yeah, bear with us. Poof! Voila! It's all done! Okay, no, not really. You can see it's still in service mode and the intake's missing and all that. But the supercharger is back on. The new water pump is buried in there. You can see it's that guy right there. All the way down. Get it? Yeah, that's you had to take all this apart to get that. But yeah, so water pump is on. Thermostat is on, new drive belt is on, new lower radiator hose is on, changed the little intake gasket seal things underneath the blower, and the little, where did it go? I thought I had another one. Oh, this thing. The little PCV valve hose, I got 2 new ones for some reason, but replace that. Yeah, so it is all going back together well. Everything back there is plugged back in. Everything on the sides is plugged back in. Everything here on the front is almost done, except for these. I got to change out the little O-rings in these guys, get them bolted up, and then once I'm done with that, I am able to put the nose of the car back from service position back to where it goes and button everything up. So I'm probably maybe an hour or two away from having this thing buttoned up and dialed up and ready to go. So it's been, like I said, about a 3-day process here. But again, not working all day. This is definitely doable start to finish in one day if you have a lot of time to dedicate to it and a helper. But yeah, doing it on your own after work, it takes me 3 days. But anyways, we're almost done. I'm going to finish buttoning all this up so we can get this thing out of here because Corvette's been living outside. Whoa, you can't even see it. But yeah, I want to get this thing buttoned up and out of here because we've got a lot of work to do on the other cars. The Flex is due for its big servicing. I've got to do a bunch of stuff to Project Boostwagon, so we'll see that coming up. And then also we wounded Project Porsche in the time attack, so we've got some work to do to her to get her ready to go for the next track day. So lots of work to be done here in the garage in El Casa Garaggio at the Plays with Cars YouTube channel, and yeah, we're gonna keep plugging away at this. So almost done. Ta-da! All buttoned up. So success. We got the new water pump in, new thermostat, changed the low radiator hose, a bunch of seals and gubbins and things like that. Got the whole car back together. Test drove, everything is working great. So just put some more coolant in there and I'm going to start it back up and bleed the intercooler screws here again. There's 2 charge coolers that live in here on top of the supercharger, and these are the bleed screws there and there to bleed the air out of them because that becomes the top of the system. So just got to do that one more time and she's going to be all good to go. So knock on wood, got this round of maintenance taken care of, and now put some more miles on her, make sure everything's good to go, and then we can start doing the mods. So until next time, that's been the Plays with Cars YouTube channel and another episode of Project Audi.